Rape. A single word, yet it carries the weight of unimaginable pain, violation, and injustice. It is a word that echoes through the corridors of hospitals, police stations, and courtrooms, leaving a trail of broken lives and shattered dreams. It is a global epidemic, a shadow that stretches across borders, cultures, and continents, leaving countless lives shattered in its wake. This shadow does not discriminate. It touches the lives of the young and old, rich and poor, educated and uneducated alike. From the bustling cities of the United States to the war-torn regions of the Democratic Republic of Congo, the incidence of rape is a stark reminder of the deeply rooted inequalities and violence that continue to plague our world. In these places, the cries for help often go unheard, drowned out by the noise of everyday life and the chaos of conflict. Recent headlines scream of horrific acts of sexual violence, painting a grim picture of a world where women and girls, in particular, are denied basic human rights and dignity. These stories are not just statistics. They are the lived experiences of real people, each with their own hopes, dreams, and aspirations. A young student gang-raped on a moving bus in Delhi. Her story sparked outrage and protests, but she is just one of many. A teenager assaulted at a high school party in Steubenville, Ohio. The incident was shared on social media, adding another layer of trauma to an already devastating experience. A woman raped in front of her children during the conflict in South Sudan. Her story is a stark reminder of the brutality that women face in war zones, where their bodies become battlegrounds. These are not isolated incidents. They are symptomatic of a global crisis that demands our attention. The statistics are staggering, but they only tell part of the story. Behind each number is a person whose life has been irrevocably changed. The World Health Organization estimates that 1 in 3 women worldwide will experience physical or sexual violence in their lifetime. This means that billions of women are living with the trauma of violence, often in silence. This violence knows no boundaries, affecting women of all ages, races, religions, and socioeconomic backgrounds. It is a pervasive issue that infiltrates every corner of society, from the home to the workplace, from schools to places of worship. It is a pervasive issue, woven into the fabric of societies around the world, and it is time we address it with the urgency and gravity it deserves. We must come together as a global community to confront this crisis head-on. We can no longer afford to be silent. Silence only perpetuates the cycle of violence and allows perpetrators to act with impunity. We can no longer turn a blind eye to the suffering of millions. Each of us has a role to play in ending this epidemic, whether through raising awareness, supporting survivors, or advocating for stronger laws and policies. Rape is not just a women's issue. It is a human rights issue that affects us all. Men too must stand up and speak out against sexual violence, challenging the toxic masculinity that often underpins it. It is time to break the silence, challenge the status quo, and demand justice for survivors. We must hold perpetrators accountable and ensure that survivors receive the support and care they need to heal. It is time to create a world where every individual can live free from the fear of sexual violence. A world where respect, equality, and justice are not just ideals, but realities for all. Together, we can make this vision a reality. Numbers often speak louder than words, and they have a way of revealing truths that are sometimes hard to confront. When it comes to the issue of rape, the statistics are not just numbers on a page. They are a stark reminder of the pervasive and devastating impact of this crime. The statistics paint a devastating picture, one that demands our attention and action. The World Health Organization estimates that a staggering 1 in 3 women globally will experience physical or sexual violence in their lifetime. This is not just a statistic, it is a call to action. This translates to millions of women and girls whose lives are forever marked by trauma, fear, and injustice. Each number represents a person, a story, a life disrupted. While rape affects people of all genders, the burden falls disproportionately on women and girls. This is a global epidemic that transcends borders, cultures, and communities. Women and girls bear the brunt of this global epidemic, facing not only the physical and emotional trauma, but also the societal stigma that often accompanies it. In some regions, the statistics are even more alarming, revealing the depth of the crisis and the urgent need for intervention. For instance, in certain parts of sub-Saharan Africa, the lifetime risk of sexual violence for women can be as high as 65%. This is a staggering figure that underscores the severity of the issue. These figures are not just numbers. They represent real lives torn apart by a crime that is preventable and utterly unacceptable. Each statistic is a person, a family, a community affected. The true extent of the problem is likely even greater than what official statistics reveal. Many cases go unreported, hidden in the shadows of fear and shame. Rape is a vastly underreported crime, shrouded in stigma, shame, and fear of retaliation. Survivors often feel isolated and unsupported, compounding their trauma. Many survivors suffer in silence, afraid to come forward and seek justice due to a lack of trust in authorities, fear of social ostracism, or the very real threat of further violence. This silence only perpetuates the cycle of abuse. These statistics are a wake-up call, a stark reminder of the urgent need for action. We cannot afford to ignore this crisis any longer. It is a call to action for governments, communities, and individuals to come together and address this issue head-on. We must break the silence and take meaningful steps to combat sexual violence. We must acknowledge the magnitude of the problem, understand its root causes, and work collectively to create a safer world for everyone. Addressing the root causes of sexual violence requires a multifaceted approach, including education, legal reforms, and community support. We must challenge the societal norms that perpetuate violence and hold perpetrators accountable. We must create a world where survivors are supported, perpetrators are held accountable, and everyone can live free from the fear of rape. This is not just a dream, it is a necessity. Together, we can build a future where safety, respect, and dignity are the norm, and where every person can live without the shadow of sexual violence hanging over them. The time for change is now. India, a land of vibrant culture and rich history, has been grappling with a dark secret, a deeply ingrained culture of violence against women, with rape emerging as a particularly horrific manifestation of this problem. This issue is not just a recent development, but has roots that run deep into the societal fabric, influenced by centuries of patriarchal norms and gender biases. The brutal gang rape and murder of a young woman on a Delhi bus in 2012 shook the nation to its core, sparking widespread protests and demands for justice. This incident, often referred to as the Nirbhaya case, became a watershed moment in India's fight against sexual violence, bringing the issue to the forefront of national and international discourse. However, despite increased media attention and calls for reform, rape continues to plague India. The media's role in highlighting these cases has been crucial, yet it also underscores the persistent and pervasive nature of the problem. Each headline serves as a grim reminder of the ongoing struggle for women's safety. The country has earned the grim title of being one of the most dangerous places in the world for women, with a rape reported every 15 minutes. This statistic is not just a number. It represents countless lives affected by trauma and fear, altering the way women navigate public and private spaces. The National Crime Records Bureau of India reported over 32,000 cases of rape in 2021 alone, and these are only the reported cases. The actual numbers are likely much higher, as many incidents go unreported due to fear of social ostracism and lack of faith in the justice system. The numbers are believed to be much higher due to underreporting and social stigma. Women often face immense pressure to remain silent, fearing backlash from their communities and even their own families. This silence perpetuates a cycle of violence and impunity. Several factors contribute to India's rape crisis. These include deeply entrenched patriarchal values, inadequate law enforcement, and a slow judicial process. Each of these elements plays a role in creating an environment where sexual violence can thrive. A patriarchal societal structure often relegates women to a secondary status, perpetuating a dangerous power imbalance. In many parts of India, traditional gender roles are strictly enforced, limiting women's opportunities and freedoms. Victim blaming is rampant, with women often blamed for their own assaults based on their clothing, behavior, or even the time of day they were attacked. This toxic mindset not only discourages victims from coming forward, but also emboldens perpetrators. Adding to the problem is a slow and often ineffective legal system that fails to deliver justice to survivors. Court cases can drag on for years, and the conviction rates for rape are dismally low, further eroding trust in the system. Despite the challenges, there are glimmers of hope. Grassroots movements and NGOs are working tirelessly to support survivors and advocate for change. These efforts are slowly but surely making a difference, offering a beacon of hope in a bleak landscape. The 2012 Delhi gang rape case led to stricter laws and faster trials for rape cases. The government introduced the Criminal Law Amendment Act 2013, which expanded the definition of sexual offenses and increased penalties for perpetrators. There is growing awareness about consent and women's rights, thanks to the efforts of activists, educators, and progressive voices within the country. educational programs and workshops are being conducted to teach young people about respect and equality. However, there is still a long way to go in changing deeply entrenched attitudes and ensuring the safety and dignity of all women in India. The journey towards a safer and more equitable society is ongoing, and it requires the collective effort of every individual, community, and institution to bring about lasting change. The United States, often touted as a beacon of freedom and equality, grapples with its own demons when it comes to sexual violence. Despite advancements in gender equality and women's rights, rape remains a pervasive problem, casting a long shadow over the nation's conscience. Statistics paint a grim picture. The Rape, Abuse and Incest National Network, RAIN, estimates that an American is sexually assaulted every 68 seconds. Shockingly, 1 out of every 6 American women has been the victim of an attempted or completed rape in her lifetime. These figures are a stark reminder that sexual violence transcends socioeconomic boundaries, affecting people of all backgrounds. While the #MeToo movement, sparked by allegations against Harvey Weinstein in 2017, brought a much-needed reckoning with sexual harassment and assault, there is still much work to be done. The conversation around consent, power dynamics, and accountability is ongoing, challenging deeply ingrained societal norms and prompting a cultural shift. The issue of campus sexual assault has also come to the forefront in recent years. Colleges and universities are grappling with how to address sexual violence within their communities, implementing policies and programs aimed at prevention, support for survivors, and holding perpetrators accountable. While the United States has made strides in addressing sexual violence, the journey is far from over. Enacting stricter laws, improving reporting mechanisms, and fostering a culture of respect and consent are crucial steps in the fight against rape and ensuring justice for survivors.